towards Outer Ring, that's a bit messy. Keeping an eye on all of this as we come out of traffic hour soon. We'll talk on Spice FM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our Justice Thursday conversation continues as it does at City.
Yes, please.
Remember, we've been talking about Taifa Pension Fund.
Yes.
Taifa Pension Fund.
Yes.
Where we are saying, take your retirement benefits and your contribution to Taifa Pension Fund.
Yes.
So that then you get all these benefits. Benefits to the employees. So as you are contributing your pension into this Taifa Pension Fund, and it's managed by CPF Financial Services, should you happen to unfortunately die before retirement, this is what will happen. Your beneficiaries will receive 3 times your annual salary. 3 times your annual salary will be taken to your beneficiaries. Pop. Okay? Also, in case of critical illness, retrenchment, and permanent total disability, there are benefits. This is in addition to the pension itself. Okay, it's in addition to the pension. So, this is enhanced life insurance benefits. Now, imagine 3 times your annual salary goes to your beneficiaries, and also the pension goes to them. Then, in case you get critical illness, chronic, you've been retrenched, or there's a permanent disability, you get the permanent disability benefits in addition to your pension. This is the reason why we are saying go to www.taifapensionfund.com. The Honorable Lady Justice Lucy Mbogwa is our guest this morning, presiding judge of the Land Division of the Environment and Land Court. City, you have a couple of questions.
I do.
Start with number 1.
Well, number 1, beyond the Situation Room, what other efforts has this court made to alert and to inform the citizens of this wonderful country of the services that you offer? I say this because if there's one subject that is touchy to Kenya, this land, it is touchy. It doesn't get touchier than that, land. All manner of things go south where land is concerned. And yet, I think there are many people who actually don't know, don't even understand, that actually it isn't as difficult as they think, that they actually can go to a court in this country, or courts in this country, where that matter can be resolved.
Thank you. I wholly agree with you. And that is why the court is leaving the chambers. And it has been doing so for quite a while. Like in 2022, we had another conference similar to the one we are about to hold in Kilifi. It was called ELC at 10. It was a very big conference at Pwani University in Kilifi, where we invited very many people, over 1,500 people. And we had breakout sessions where citizens can ask each and any question that they feel they can ask in that environment, which is not a courtroom. You know, in court, you can't go asking a judge various questions. But there, in such a setup, you are at liberty to ask any question. So we held that conference, and it was very successful. And we had some kind of communique with the government, where we are trying to collaborate with the government in various sectors. And this is now sort of a follow-up, only that we have picked now a different topic on climate change.
Does the judiciary have a communication department?
It has, yes.
And this is what they're supposed to do?
You see them, they are in communication department. For us, there is something we want to communicate about the legal issues, that which affects the common man.
Yes. You know, I asked the question. It is very interesting that very many government units and entities have a communication department. And yet the one thing that we constantly complain about, the government doesn't communicate effectively. And yet they have a department. So it's not that I'm going to ask the question, what do they do? No. The question I'm asking is, the only way people will feel comfortable in uptaking the services our courts offer is if they are familiar with their courts. If they are not, then the myths and misconceptions around courts will persist, and people would rather find other means of solving their problems other than going to the courts.
In fact, you have hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
This kind of platform that we are going to have, it's a familiarity exercise.
Yes.
Where somebody can be close to a judge, be close to a professor, but in ordinary circumstances that would not happen, and they are at liberty to ask anything. So it's a very good platform, and we are not restricting anyone to participate. Nevertheless, the participation is by registration. I've even given those details to your people here so that people can register, although just few slots are remaining. But we are not restricting anyone, meaning even the villager can attend the conference.
Do you give the information that you've given to our people here at Standard Group to vernacular radio stations as well, or vernacular media houses? I ask because sometimes people are very comfortable consuming information in a language that they were born with and they're familiar with. And the vast majority of us, when someone speaks to you in a language that you consider your mother tongue, somehow the message tends to sink quicker, faster,
That is true.
and is more readily and easily acceptable.
That is true.
Yes.
In fact, we have already flagged out a station called I think it's Chamge.
It's called Chamge.
Chamge, because now it's in Uasin Gishu.
Yes.
And another one, I've forgotten the...
There's one called Berur. It's actually just next door here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Even that one we shall explore because we still have time.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We are intending to, as much as possible, to come to the FM stations.
Okay, I read every now and then, and even as we go through the papers, and we read stories of land cases being adjudicated, and I look at the number of years sometimes in these land cases, and I'm flabbergasted. It's been in court for 30 years. It's been in court for 20 years, even 5 years, and I feel like, oh my goodness. So how come some of these land cases, especially, take so long? I mean, 30 years. Why do they take so long?
Various factors, as I had mentioned. If things were streamlined, we would not be having disputes. But this is a situation where, even where the records are supposed to be kept, maybe they are no longer there. So following up on the issue, it becomes difficult. And the owners, the claimants who are following up on those issues, sometimes they even die. So you'll find that you cannot continue with the case until the legal representative comes on board, who may also die in the process, and the other one now, the next legal representative also has to come on board. So there are very, very many factors. And especially where there is the issue of fraud, let me say, fraudsters have a way of ensuring that there's a conundrum. The cases are convoluted. So they go on and on. They don't want you to proceed. There are very many factors, let me say.
And did this court and its jurisdiction fall under... I remember now when we talk about access to justice and now the push from the Chief Justice to see that cases were adjudicated in a shorter period of time. Did this fall under did that directive come to this court as well?
It did come to this court, and in fact the court is strategizing on how to go about it. One of the issues or one of the strategies we are undertaking or we undertake is to flag out the old cases. Let's say, let me give an example of our court, Milimani. We flagged out cases which are over 10 years old, ensured that we have fast-tracked them. So unless there is a very big reason as to why that matter cannot proceed, like now when somebody is deceased, the case must proceed. Those cases are known. We have flagged out the ones of 10 years to 5 years, like that. They are in groups. So wherever we are having meetings, we know how many cases are remaining, which are over 10 years old. And we take deliberate steps to ensure that these cases are finalized. Such that now the cases which are very fresh, they are at the bottom of the barrel.
I know you've said, Judge, that when you're sitting at the bench, you are not going to look at a litigant and see, all right, I think you need to get some more evidence here and there. You can't start directing someone. You need to bring me extra evidence. You deal with what they've brought. But I think in some cases, well, in many cases, particularly in the land court, you have dealt with issues of double titling. You have dealt with issues of fraud, right, in land transactions, which point to the same office, the lands office, the lands registry, whether it's the National Land Registry or the county registries. Is it not possible for the court to come up with orders that then impact on how those registries are managed? Because you keep handling very many cases. It's the same issue. Nilienda pale and I did my due diligence, and when I went to check, I found that this is a legit, and then this other person is saying, I went, in fact, here's a receipt, and I paid for it, and there's a stamp from a government office. But you can see it's the same thing that's happening. The rot is elsewhere. It's not between these two people. It's actually a third entity that's to blame. Can the court do something?
Yes, the court is actually doing something. The court can summon the officers who are entrusted with those records, and we do summon the land registrars, the surveyors, to come to court and explain what is happening, which is the correct record. Another way we are devising is to collaborate in a multi-sectoral approach. For instance, now in Milimani, we have established something called a Land Justice Working Group. It is a task force under the Court Users Committee. It is a specialized group consisting of the stakeholders in the land justice sector. We have the Ministry of Lands officials, the AG, we have the surveyors, we have the lawyers. We come together and try to find out what is the root causes of all these land problems. Why have land conflicts been so rampant and persisted for decades we are dealing with the Nairobi County, not the entire country. So, and we are hoping that what we are doing will cascade and will be taken up in the entire country. So we are holding public participation activities with the GAO, that is the national government, with the counties, and we try to what we want to do is to come up with solutions, if it's policy recommendations that we can come up with. This one was, the group was launched on 5th of February this year. So I can say it's at the infancy stage. But we felt we could not just sit in our chambers and deliver judgments, which we are seeing that, you deliver a judgment, but after 3 years, it's as if it mutates or resurrects. Another dispute, which is in the same subject matter, comes up. And you still have to deal with it before perhaps you dismiss it or something. So we felt there is something that needs to be done or communicated. And instead of having, instead of blaming each other or writing in your judgment that you are blaming this person, it's better you sit together in a round table and say, what is the problem? And how can we come up with a solution? We have not reached that part of recommendations, but we are headed there.
Your Ladyship, that's a long route. And the problem is corruption at the land registry. Even the land ministers have said this many times before. There have been attempts at, digitizing the registry and all this, and all of them are flopping because of sabotage there. Can the court not issue orders that fast track the cleaning of the house at the land ministry? The house is a mess. And it wastes a lot of, you don't even sleep many hours because you're writing a judgment, which is similar to one that you wrote last year, which is similar to one that you're going to write next year.
Corruption is a big thing. Fraud is a very big thing. And the people involved in fraud and such things, they operate in darkness. They don't like transparency. So some of these forums that we are having is to have transparent processes, accountable processes. So, and I can say that myself, I've even gone to those land registries. We've been going around, even to the Athi House and some other place they have at Survey of Kenya, just to see how their processes are done. And we want to come together and see whether we can have a solution, a one-shop point where people can get documents, lodge documents, some like a court registry that is digitalized. Yes.
We are seeing more and more cases involving landowners and local authorities, county governments. Kiambu is a case in point. It's been in the news, right? You own land in Kiambu, you've applied for subdivision, for development, and then the county government puts a caveat and says, no. Ishaba ni ya wananchi. Ishaba yede kwa wale. Such matters where the dispute is now between a government and an owner of the land who is developing this and even has buyers on the side. How do you handle such?
We handle in such a way that the fallback is the constitution. So every land in Kenya, as per the constitution, is defined in 3 categories. It has to be public land, or private land, or community land. And there's paper trail or documentary evidence to show that. So there is no way a government can come and take away private land just like that, just by saying. There has to be some kind of evidence, paper trail, the origin of that land. So that is what we follow. So if it is private land, unless it is a case of acquisition, that one of acquisition for a public purpose, the land cannot just be taken like that. Yes.
But then the inroad being used is, the route being used here is, yes, it's private land, we agree. But it's private land that needs to have public interests embedded in it in terms of the land use. For example, ensuring that public facilities, you set aside public facilities, police station, schools, health centers and health facilities. How do you mix those? It's my private land, but I'm being told you set aside areas for public.
For this.
Yes.
I think that is something that has always been with us. When you are subdividing your big chunk of land, I think it was accordation that you surrender a piece to the government. So this is not a new phenomenon. That one has been there. I cannot pinpoint the actual section of the law, but it's something that has always been there. Where the land is quite expansive, that you surrender, it becomes one of the conditions to be allowed to subdivide that land.
There's something that has made headlines in the recent past, and it has to do with the leases that expire on property. If I am the holder of that particular lease, what are my rights? When that lease expires, does it mean I then forfeit the land? What is it that then happens?
So that one, you have the preemptive rights. Now the law is there. If you are the owner of the lease, you are the one who has the first right to get it back.
What does that mean? That's where it gets tricky. When you say first right, what do you mean, Justice?
Or that somebody else, unless you fail to apply, if the lease expires and you just sit pretty, the land is no longer yours. Because the head lessor is there, the government of Kenya. So it will revert back to the government and the government can give it to somebody else. It moves away from private to the other category. I mentioned the 3 categories. So what you're supposed to do is make the application for the renewal of the lease. And you just get it back unless the government needs that land for a particular public purpose. You are the one who is supposed to get that land back.
See why I ask?
But you have to apply.
We hear of cases of individuals who have done exactly that. They have applied. But somehow that land then ends up with someone else's name. Perhaps that falls into the category of what we're referring to as corruption within the particular, within RV House.
Yes, that does happen. And that is why we are there, to hear those cases. Those incidents are there.
This is still evidence-based. All of this, just like you said, that anything that comes before the court then must be, whatever side must be proven. We have many cases, again, of lost documentation. You know, I don't have a particular deed. I was never issued this. And if the land was taken away. In the cases where there is loss or damage or inability to prove, how does the court handle what would be a natural occurrence? Maybe somebody stole it. Maybe somebody grabbed the thing. Or maybe I had it. But really, naturally, it went missing.
Yes.
How does the court handle that? And we're not talking about the ones that go missing by human intervention. You know, those are when we've heard stories of files going missing. You know, but how then do you handle those, which seem to be quite rampant as well?
Again, I can say it's a case-by-case basis. There's more evidence you look at other than documentary evidence. Let me give an example like possession. If you are the one who has always been there, you've put up an industry, you have even put up a stone wall. If we go to the site, we can see the wall is very old. There is a borehole, which is also very old. You've always been there. But this new person who is insisting the land is his, he has never stepped there. You see?
Nobody knows him.
Nobody even knows him. The neighbors have never seen him, but he's flashing a title. So there are many factors to be considered.
Wait, so tell us again, what's happening from the 25th to the 29th?
So it's the climate change conference that we are holding in Eldoret. I told you that the other one we held in Kilifi.
Yes.
So you can see we want to be as inclusive as possible to reach
Go
out
across the country.
Yes, across the country. We don't just to be here in Nairobi.
Yes.
So from 25th to 29th at Moi University Law School, Annex Complex. So we have invited eminent persons who know these matters because we are not experts ourselves, the judges. So we are looking towards a platform where we shall have knowledge sharing with these eminent persons, with people in the professions, and even with the communities, even the students. We are even having moot courts as a pre-conference activity, where some universities will come and participate in moot court competitions.
Right. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yes.
I wish you all the best. From the 25th to the 29th of November, the Climate Change Conference in Eldoret by the Environment and Land Court. The Honorable Lady Justice Lucy Mbogwa is the presiding judge at the Land Division of that court, the Environment and Land Court. Thank you for tuning in. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.